Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture series on 8051 microcontroller. So in the previous lecture we had started off with module number 4, that is our timers. In the previous lecture we had discussed on the basics of the timer, uh, how many timers are available in 8051 microcontroller. So what and all are those different types of timers, how can we control those timers, and what are the different types of modes which are available in timers. And we had looked into tmod register, so how actually we are going to control these modes in terms of tmod register, that we had looked in the previous lecture. So in this lecture we shall look into the modes which we had seen in the previous lecture. Out of that we will be looking into mode 1 programming and mode 2 programming in the as per the syllabus. Okay, so now in the today's lecture we shall look into how can we program using mode 1. So in mode 1 programming, as we know that our timers are 16-bit timers, and basically we have two different timers, that is timer 0 and then timer 1. So out of this 16-bit timer, if we look at 16-bit timer, the values which can be loaded into those timers, that will be varying from 0000 hexa to FFFF hexa, and these values will be divided in terms of two different 8-bit values, and then those 8-bit values will be loaded into the timer lower bit and the timer higher bit, that is our TL register and then TH register. Okay, and by looking at this particular diagram over here, what we can observe that basically we'll be having a crystal oscillator which generates the clock frequency for our 8051 microcontroller. Basically almost all the microcontrollers are having they are having 11.059 megahertz clock frequency, and the clock frequency for the timers, that is nothing but the main clock frequency what we'll be having, that will be divided in terms of 12, and that frequency which is being generated, as we know 11.0592 divided by 12 will get somewhere around 921 kilohertz, something like that. Okay, so that is considering our clock frequency to be 11 megahertz clock. Okay, so for that we are going to generate how much frequency, the frequency which is being generated, that is 921 kilohertz approximately. Okay, so that particular clock frequency will be fed into these timers, and then the timer starts counting. So this clock frequency what you are observing over here, that will be what, that will be based on divided by 12. Okay, and the timers will be being started once we make our TR register to be high, TR bit to be high. Okay, so now let us look into the further steps. As for step now, it is a 16-bit register, so that the values will be loaded from will be given from 0000 hexa to FFFF hexa. Now once we got to know these values, once we got to know what values to be loaded, that can be based on this. After that what we should do, we should start our timer. So starting of the timer will be done by raising our TR bit to be high. Okay, so the timer 0 is having its own bit, that is TR0, and the timer 1 is having its own bit, that is TR1. So we can start off the timer 0 by making the TR0 bit to be high, and we can start off the timer 1 by making my TR1 bit to be high. So this is basically done by using what? This is basically done by using set bit TR0 for timer 0 and then set bit TR1 for timer 1. Once the timer is being started, the timer starts counting. So basically the what value you have been loaded into TL register from that particular value it is going to start counting till where? Till FFFF hexa. Suppose if you have loaded the TL register to be 0000 hexa, then it starts counting from 0000 hexa till it reaches what? It reaches FFFF hexa. Once the value has been reached to FFFF hexa, then there will be a overflow, right? So once there is a overflow, then the flag what we are having, timer flag, TF flag, it is going to be high. Once there is an overflow, that is from FFFF hexa to 0, then the timer flag raises high. Okay, so this can be done. So here also we are having two different bits over here. Okay, two different flags. For timer 0 we are having TF0, and then for timer 1 we are having TF1. Once there is a rise in these particular bits, okay, at that time what we should do, we should make our timer to be stopped. Okay, so how can we stop the timer? In order to stop the timer, we are having an instruction, something called clear TR0. Suppose if we had started timer 0, then we would have given set bit TR0, and if we want to stop the timer 0, then we'll be giving clear TR0, or if you want to stop the timer 1, then we'll be giving clear TR1. Okay, so after that, what we should do, we should roll back to the process in order to load the timer values again. So basically what we are doing, first load the values into TL and then TH, and then start off the timer, and then once it starts counting, you have to check for what? We have to check for timer flag. If there is a rise in timer flag, then stop the timer by using clear TR0 or clear TR1, and then again we need to roll back to what? We need to roll back to loading of the TH and then TL values. Now, how to generate a time delay using mode 1 programming? So in order to generate a time delay, so basically what we need to do, first I need to select which timer I need to start. So basically there are two timers as we know. So I need to select whether I want to start off with timer 0 or whether I need to start off with timer 1. So in order to select these timers, again what I'll be doing, I'll be using my tmod register in order to select these timers. As we had seen in tmod registers, we are having something like gate, and then we are having cBAR-T, and then different modes we are having. So based on those values, I need to select which timer should be selected. Okay, once you have loaded the values into tmod register, then what I should do, I should come back to what? I should come back to loading my TL register with the initial value and then TH register with the initial count. Okay, once you have loaded these values, what should I do? I should start the timer. In order to start the timer, what we'll be using? We'll be using set bit TR0 or set bit TR1. Once the timer is being started, I should keep on watching my TF flag, that is my timer flag. So once the timer flag has been raised, at that time I should stop the timer. So in order to stop the timer, I'll be using my clear TR0 and then clear TR1 based on which timer you have selected. After that, what I'll be doing, I should come out of that particular loop and then I have to stop the timer. Okay, so once the timer has been stopped, I need to clear the TF flag, so in order to go back to my next round. So here by using this, as we are telling, in order to generate a time delay, so I need to do what? I need to generate again. So after that, what I'll be doing, I'll be making sure that my timer flag is low. Okay, so once the timer flag has been made low, then again what I'll be doing, I'll be going back to my step 2 in order to load those values which we had calculated into TL and then TH. So these are the steps what we need to follow in order to generate a time delay. So uh, the steps can be better understood by using what, by looking into some of the examples over here. Okay, so let us see some examples. So here, write an ALP to generate a square wave of 50% duty cycle on P1.5 bit using timer 0 is being used to generate the delay. So here they have, if we look at this particular example over here, they haven't mentioned what should be the frequency and what should be the time delay. So it is just a normal square wave, okay, where we need to generate a square wave with 50% duty cycle. So now let us look, based on the steps what we had observed in the previous slide. So let us look, how can we generate these things. The first step is what? First step is I need to select here, since they are telling timer 0 is to be used, I need to load the values to what. So here, let me take, before going to the steps, let me take, I'm having something like this. The timer 0 starts counting from FF F2 hexa and it counts till FF FF hexa. Okay, so now based on the diagram what we are having, we can make sure that my timer uh, uh, TL will be loaded with F2 hexa and then TH will be loaded with FF hexa. Okay, so now let us look into the values. So I need to load my tmod. So in order to load the tmod, what is the instruction what we can use? Since I am supposed to use timer 0, so I'll be using what? Move tmod comma hash 01. So I'll be loading the tmod register with 01 hexa value. Okay, once the tmod is being loaded, I need to load my th0 and then tl0. Since I'm using timer 0, so I'll be using these TL0 and then TH0 registers. So as we have seen over here, since my uh, count should be started, initial count value is FFF2 hexa, so I need to load F2 hexa to my TL0 register and then FF hexa to my TH0 register. So this how can be done? This can be done using what? Move TL0 comma hash 0 F2 hexa, move TS0 comma hash FF hexa. So here we are using immediate addressing mode. Okay, so once the values have been loaded, at that time what we should do? We should start our timer. Okay, so here what we should do, once this thing is being done, I need to complement the values. Okay, so after this what I'll be using, I'll be calling the delay. So here this complement, why this is being done over here, why we have called over here, that we'll see in the later part. So once you have loaded this value, I'll be calling the delay program. Okay, in the delay program what I'll be using, first I need to start my timer, and then what I should do, I should keep on checking my TF flag. So here we have started the timer by using set bit TR0, and then I'll be using the value by the instruction jump if no bit TF0 comma again. Okay, so this will be in a complete loop until what? Until my TF goes high. Once TF goes high, at that time what will happen? It will come out of this loop. So once it is come out of that loop, I should what? I should clear my timer, and then I should clear my timer flag, and then I should stop my timer, and then I should return back. So once you have returned back, so it will come back over here, and then we are using the short jump so that it will come back over here. Now why complement is being used? That is because now if you look at the values over here, since they have said I need to generate my square wave which is a 50% duty cycle, right? So after every 50%, the value what you are having, that is being complemented over here. So for a half of the cycle it is going to be what? It is going to be 0, and another half of the cycle it is going to be what? It is going to be 1. So this much part it is going to be 0, and this much part it is going to be 1. That is why we are using this complement form over here. So initially it is going to be 0. Let me consider that initially it is 1. Okay, so here what I have loaded these values, and then I have called complement p1.5. So what will happen? It will become 0. Okay, and then it is going to be what? It is going to be there will be a delay so that it starts counting from ff2, and then till ff it is going to be generated with what? 0, and then again it will come back to this. Again there will be a complement, so it is going to be high, and then again it is going to start from ff2 hexa till fff hexa. So this is how it is going to generate what? It is going to generate a complete square waveform. Okay, now how can we do this? Okay, now this is how it is being done. First load the tmod values, and then you load your timer values. Okay, after that you complement, and then you start the timer, and then you keep on checking the timer flag by using jnb tf0 comma again. Okay, once the flag has been raised, you stop the timer, and then you clear the flag, and then you come back over here. Okay, now let us look into another example. So the same program what we had written in the previous example, the same program, but here what they are telling, we have to consider that our timer flag, the clock frequency to be 11.0592 megahertz, and then based on that particular clock frequency, what is the clock frequency which is being generated, or the time delay which is being generated by this particular program. Okay, now as we know, the clock frequency will be divided by 12 in order to start the timer. So the clock frequency of this particular timer is going to be 1 by 12th of that particular the main clock frequency. Suppose as they have given 11.0592 megahertz, if I divide it by 12, then I'll be getting what? I'll be getting 921.6 kilohertz. Okay, so this 921.6 kilohertz, this is in terms of frequency. I need to convert that to what? I need to convert that to time. So what will be the time of one clock frequency? So how I can do, since t is equal to 1 by f, so I'll be using t is equal to 1 divided by 921.6 kilohertz. So I'll be ending up with 1.085 microseconds. Okay, so one clock frequency, so the time of one clock frequency of this particular timer, it is going to be what? It is going to be 1.085 microseconds. Now since it is going to start off from FFF2 hexa to FFFF hexa, so how many clock cycles are required in order to count from this particular value to this particular value? So that can be done if we subtract over that. Okay, so I'll be doing FFFF hexa minus my initial count, so I'll be getting 0D hexa. If you convert this 0D hexa into decimal format, then the value what you'll be getting, it is going to be 13. So the number of clocks required in order to count from this particular value to this particular value is 13 clock cycles. But after once it has reached FFFF hexa, in the next clock cycle it is going to be what? It is going to overflow. So in the next clock cycle itself, the TF flag is going to be high, right? So that is why I need to add one more clock cycle. Okay, so however we add 1 to 13 because one extra clock needed when it rolls over from FFFF hexa to 0 in order to raise the TF flag. So the total number of clock cycles are 14 as of now. So 14 into 1.085, so I'll be ending up with what? I'll be ending up with 15.19 microseconds. Okay, so this much amount of time delay is being generated. Okay, since we are generating a square wave, okay, first half cycle is going to be what? It is going to be 0, and the next half cycle it is going to be 1. Okay, that is why I need to multiply this 15.19 microsecond into 2, so I'll be ending up with what? 30.38 microseconds. So the total amount of delay generated by this particular timer is going to be what? It is going to be 30.08 microseconds. Okay, now let us look into the same program in a different way. First, we saw how to write down the program in order to generate a time delay. After that, in the next example, we saw how much amount of delay is being generated by this particular timer. Now let us calculate the frequency which is being generated by this particular P1.5. Now in order to calculate the frequency, in the previous example what we had seen, you might have observed that here uh, the time frequency which is being generated, it is going to be 30.38 microseconds, right? So the same thing can be done in terms of t is equal to 1 by f. Now if you want to calculate frequency, you can do it by f is equal to 1 by t. I could have done it by 1 by 30 microseconds. So whatever the value I'll be getting, that will be what? That will be based on, that will be the frequency. But in order to calculate the accurate frequency, I need to check on the number of cycles which is being used in order to calculate all these particular instructions. Okay, so here what happens, I need to, the number of clock cycles required in order to complete this particular instructions, I need to calculate. Okay, so I need to know how many number of clock cycles are being used. I need to take down the total number of clock cycles. Okay, and based on that I need to complete this. Now if you look at this, the tmod, uh, this particular instruction needs what? It is going to use 2 clock cycles. In the similar fashion, it is going to use 2 clock cycles move instruction. The complement, it is going to take 1 clock cycles. The delay which is being called, it takes 2 clock cycles. And the jump, short jump what we have used, it is going to 2 clock cycles. The set bit, in order to set bit TR0, it is going to take 1 clock cycles. Since here in the next line what we are having is, since it is a loop, so this loop is going to execute how many number of times? It is going to execute 14 number of times. Okay, because after 14 clock cycles my TF is going to be raised, that is why it is going to take 14 clock cycles. And then clear, it is going to take 1 clock cycle. Clear TF0, it is going to 1 clock cycle, and return, it is going to take 2 clock cycles. Now if I add up all these values, okay, so I'll be requiring 28 clock cycles in order to complete this whole loop. This is the loop what we have done, right? So again after this it is going to go back to this here, and then again the values will be loaded. So total number of clock cycles are required are 28. So one clock cycle time frequency is how much? It is going to be 1.085. And then as we know, since we are generating a square wave with 50% duty cycles, half cycle will be logic 0 and then half cycle will be logic 1. That is why, so I need to multiply this with the 2. So the total clock frequency what I'll be getting, it is going to be what? It is the time what I'll be getting, it is going to be 60.76 microseconds. Now if you convert that into frequency, that is f is equal to 1 by t, that is equal to 1 by 60.76 microsecond. So I'll be getting up with what? I'll be getting up with 16,458.2 hertz. So it is going to be what? It is going to be, if you convert that into kilohertz, it is going to be 16.458 kilohertz. So the clock frequency which is being generated by using the same program, it is going to be what? It is going to be 16.45 kilohertz. So this is how we can do the programming, like how this is some of the basics, like we saw the different examples, like how can we load the values, and then what might be the time delay, how much amount of time is being delayed, that we have looked in one example, and what might be the clock frequency which is being generated through that particular program, that also we had seen in the one more example. Okay, now in the next lecture we shall look into some more examples of mode 1 programming. How can we load those values and all those things we shall see in the next. Thank you.